He does it again. This song, like, it's so interesting when we read the lyrics instead of like singing them to a melody because it hits different. Like, even hearing myself read that, I was like, that is poetry. That's
Hmm.
that's just poetry put to music. It's really lovely.
Welcome to Therate. We are not therapy, but we are super fun, and we are here to dive into the song Coney Island featuring the National from Evermore. Katie, you chose this song. I would love to hear why.
I just think this is a really fun song. I think it's a really interesting one because it's about a relationship that is kind of falling apart. Um, and I think I was just looking honestly for a song that felt like it could be in a therapy session. Like that's why I chose this one. I don't feel like it's a song that I necessarily like come back to repeatedly, but it is a song that I appreciate it when it does come on, and I felt like this was a really good opportunity for me to get better acquainted with it.
Yeah, yeah, it's such a good song. I love this. Any duet, even like outside of Taylor songs, I love a duet. So that's super fun. What lyrics would you be referencing?
Yeah, I'll read through them. And when I got into the accident, the sight that flashed before me was your face. But when I walked up to the podium, I think I forgot to say your name. And if this is the long haul, how did we get here so soon? Did I close my fist around something delicate? Did I shatter you? Were you waiting at our old spot in the tree line by the gold clock? Did I leave you hanging every single day? Were you standing in the hallway with a big cake? Happy birthday? Did I paint your bluest skies the darkest gray? A universe away, over and over, lost again with no surprises. Disappointments, close your eyes. It gets colder and colder.
Yeah, such good lyrics. Taylor Swift does it again.
He does it again. This song, like, it's so interesting when we read the lyrics instead of like singing them to a melody because it hits different. Like, even hearing myself read that, I was like, that is poetry. That's
Hmm.
that's just poetry put to music. It's really lovely.
Yeah, definitely. So with those lyrics in mind, what questions would you be asking this client?
Yeah. One of the first questions is, do you want to try and turn the relationship around, or are you coming to terms with it ending? Has the sun come down on your relationship? Which is just the song refers to like sunsets and like the setting of it is a sunset. And so I think that's just a question that I don't feel like the song is super straightforward about. My personal
Yeah.
opinion, I think it's concluding, and they're just coming to terms to that with that. But what do you think, Ashley?
Yeah, I think they're wondering if it is.
Hmm.
Like they're kind of in process with this song.
Yeah, yeah. One thing that I noticed as I was listening to the song repeatedly is that um the melody is really interesting because it actually doesn't have like a focal point, right? There's not like a really catchy bridge. And Taylor's known for some bangers, right? She's known to like write really, beautiful melodies. And in this song, you can't just like listen to like the melody alone and know exactly where you're at in the song, which to me kind of felt like was representing the conversation occurring in the song. That like they're a little bit like lost or they're a little bit on repeat. Like it almost feels like they've had this conversation or versions of it before. And like she and the National like are lost. And so everything looks and feels the same. There's not one point that distinguishes like we're at this part of the song versus another part. So I think that kind of again gives like a melody cue as to like what is actually happening between the characters in the song.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really interesting how they kind of answer each other in this song.
Yes, yes. Which is also something as we kind of progress through questions, I want to highlight that the song is an evolving blend of two perspectives. And so the feedback that I'm offering is kind of condensed into both perspectives. It's not really separated. But if we really wanted to go to the next level, like I think you could distinguish the two different perspectives being represented between Taylor and the National. But for my purposes, I didn't do that. But yeah, those were kind of the one like main question that I had.
Yeah, yeah, such a good one. What would you be normalizing or validating?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, the song feels like a sunset on a relationship. Like even the song repeats when the sun goes down. And I think that every relationship goes through seasons. Some seasons where there's a lot of growth, seasons where the relationship lies dormant, or where there's a lot of work being put in, or you're reaping the benefits of what you've put in. So I think it's okay to name this as a season in the relationship and to let it go if that's what you feel is necessary or what the other partner has decided. And so I think I would just normalize that just because a relationship is ending doesn't necessarily mean that it was wrong or bad. I think sometimes we look to assign meaning to things that are just part of the natural evolution of life that don't need to be um challenged or seen, just grieved maybe.
Hmm.
Not maybe,
Yeah.
just grieved.
Yeah. I'm curious, where are you seeing the grief come through in this song? I agree with you. I just am curious what you'd say.
Yeah, I think the lyrics, like, um, did I leave you hanging every single day? Were you standing in the hallway with a big cake? Happy birthday. Did I paint your bluest skies the darkest gray? That sounds like regret to me. That
Hmm.
sounds like somebody who's reflecting on what they did and didn't do in this relationship, and they hold sadness over that. And they're reckoning with it, not only within themselves, but with the other person. And the specificity of the question to me sounds more like an apology. Like, it's not really asking. Like, I don't think somebody would say, like, oh, like, did it hurt you when I like didn't show up when I ghosted you? Like, it sounds like they're like kind of confessing and acknowledging, like, did it hurt? I know it hurt. How bad did it hurt? I did these things. So I think like that's the sadness. And to me, one of the saddest lyrics in the song is, and when I got into the accident, the sight that flashed before me was your face. But when I walked up to the podium, I think I forgot to say your name. And that fascinates me because it's contrasting triumph and trauma. Like the car accident is the trauma. Like when you get into an accident, this is like maybe like your life flashing before your eyes. This is kind of the final moment. This is terror. And so, kind of what gets said is that, what's most important to you is what you think about at that moment. And it's this person. And then it's contrasted with triumph when you're on a podium and you've done something worth acknowledgement or an award. And it's at that moment that you forget to acknowledge the most important person in your life, or one of the most important people. So I thought that was like so sad, like to
Hmm.
hear that contrasted.
I love when you pull themes out like that. It's harder for my mind, like my brain to do that. I think you're so gifted in that way.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you, Ashley. I appreciate that.
Anything else you would normalize or validate on this song?
Yeah, that was the main piece.
Yeah, okay. Anything you would challenge with this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think actually I have a lyric here that maybe I don't think I read it at the beginning, but I'll just read it. Um, Do you miss the rogue who coaxed you into paradise and left you there? And did I close my fist around something delicate? Did I shatter you? Now, I read that one before, but I wanted to highlight it again because, and again, going back to the specificity, were you waiting at our old spot by the tree line by the gold clock? Like, this is a very specific place that only the two of them would know, maybe. And I'm kind of wondering if this person would actually like to apologize for the various ways you've hurt the other person. Like you stood them up, you've left them hanging, you're turning their good days into bad days. You're convincing them that you were paradise, that you were the person that could bring happiness to them, and then you abandon them and you fail to recognize the delicate nature of the relationship, or maybe you took it for granted. And I hear them acknowledging that, but I think I would actually challenge them to articulate that as an apology. And sometimes people will talk around an apology without ever directly naming the apology. And directly naming it typically lands better for a lot of people if you just say the words. So I think I would maybe encourage this person to not be indirect, but to be direct with an apology. Um, and then I want to come back to the lyrics The question pounds in my head, what's a lifetime of achievement if I pushed you to the edge, but you were too polite to leave me? And that last lyric, too polite to leave. Can we push a little further into this? Because I think there's a lot more going on than politeness. And I want to explore that part of you that remains in a relationship where you're not being prioritized and you are being treated in a way that is not respectful. Like what's going on inside of you? Because I think again, we can cloak our motivations in something that sounds palatable to us, like I'm being polite. And perhaps it's not just politeness. So I want to dig a little bit deeper with this client on that.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be really interesting to dive into this song as like a couple client too. Like if there's a lot of ways that we could have like taken this um yeah, it would be so interesting. But yeah, I love that you push back on that piece because the politeness, especially, I mean, we live in the Midwest. The politeness is strong out here. So,
Yes, yes. And I'm sure you probably hear this in your therapy room as well, but people will say, well, I don't want to hurt this person's feelings. And so one of the ways I will push back on that is like, I think actually it's your feelings you don't want to hurt. I think
hmm.
it's your feelings that are you're too uncomfortable with this and you can't handle your discomfort and their discomfort. And so you're just going to do what's simplest and feels most emotionally palatable to you in that moment. So, um, it's a it's kind of a fun thing to challenge when you begin to peel back and just be really honest with yourself about your motivations.
Mm-hmm. That's really good. Yeah. Anything you would recommend for this client?
Yeah, I'll come back to the lyric over and over, lost again with no surprises. Disappointments close your eyes, and it gets colder and colder. This lyric is fascinating because it's indicating patterns repeating themselves, creating predictable disappointments, and making the relationship cold and or die. I recommend looking into these patterns because patterns aren't only unique to your relationship, they're part of your own story DNA. And even if the relationship ends, the patterns will not go away. They will repeat themselves in different ways with new people across your life. So, to me, this feels like a really fruitful place to explore with a client because it doesn't matter if you leave this relationship, whether you choose to stay, then we have to address the patterns. If you choose to leave the relationship, you still have to address the patterns. There's a lot of work to be done, and it doesn't depend on the other person to do them. What? What's going on?
It's a good statement. It's a strong statement. And it's hard for clients to hear that, right? Like it would be so much easier if that internal work didn't have to happen.
Totally. Like this other person is the problem. Let's just get rid of them, right? Like cut
Right.
them out of my life, and then the problem goes away, and it's bad news. And you're like, oh, the problem is me, and I follows me around.
I'm the problem, it's me.
Hi.
Uh, yeah. Anything you would encourage this client with?
Yeah. The lyric, sorry for not making you my centerfold. If you are hoping to have a future relationship, I'd recommend exploring ways to make someone your centerfold in a healthy way to ensure that the relationship lasts. Because there are ways to make somebody your priority in a way that it does not ensure longevity or it's not healthy, it's not sustainable, fill in the blank. But it is important to make sure that your partner feels prioritized and important, as you should also feel prioritized and important. So let's have some thoughtful, nuanced conversations around that.
And if, listener, you are wondering what that looks like, I would recommend our episode on Sweet Nothing.
Oh, yes, that's such a good idea. Go listen to that episode. That's like fantastic song. Good diet,
Mm-hmm.
what makes a healthy relationship healthy.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Anything else you want to say about this song?
The encouragement that I would offer is that you are clearly doing a thorough job self-reflecting. Keep doing this. Keep feeling your emotions, even though it's hard and unpleasant. It's yielding good results. Doesn't matter about the outcome of the relationship, the process is worthwhile.
Mm, yeah, and it is a process.
Hmm. Yes, it is, because there's clearly a lot of history between these two people.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um, there's a lot. That sums up all my questions, Ashley. I am excited to interview you now.
sounds good. Yeah, thanks for sharing your thoughts, Katie. The lyrics that I would like to reference are, if I can't relate to you anymore, then who am I related to? Did I close my fist around something delicate? Did I shatter you? Looking for you, but you're right here.
Hmm. Let's dig in. Great lyric choices. What questions are you going to ask?
Yeah. So I think that lyric, looking for you, but you're right here. How many, even in like movies and stuff, how often do we hear like, I'm surrounded by people, but I feel all alone, right? And I think that kind of defines the lack of emotional attachment or connection that you can experience when things are going well or are healthy. So when this song is kind of saying that lyric, looking for you, but you're right here, like lo longing for that person, longing for that emotional connection. So I would ask, what is causing the detachment, and what would have been different if priorities were changed? Like if that person was the centerfold, what are you picturing would be different? Because I'm hearing a lot of kind of like counting the steps, right? Like, what did I do? How did I, if I had changed this, this, or this, would things be different? So I'm curious, like, what this person is like, how this person is answering that question for themselves. Like, if I had done X, Y, and Z, then maybe we wouldn't have these problems. And some of that may be true. Some of it may be a little bit, they may be kind of hard on themselves, just kind of depending on the situation. So, those are some questions I would be asking. And you kind of talked about the regret too. I think that's a really good point. And it's always something to kind of like lean into and examine when that's there.
I love that you're highlighting again attachment, right? Like, and how that really is the difference between loneliness and connection. Like, genuine connection is that emotional connection. That's what we call like engagement and attunement, right? Like, observing somebody and then responding to that information, right? Engaging with it and not just letting it be a passive observation. And I really loved how you brought out expectations as well. Like I think our relationships rise and fall on our expectations. And so those are not things that we often clarify either for ourselves or with a partner. And it has a big influence on your relationship. So I love that you're like helping this couple or this client tease that apart. Like what would it look like in a better scenario? Great question.
Thank you.
And
So go ahead.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Any more questions?
No, those were the main ones.
Hey, how would you normalize or validate a client in a situation like this?
I would say it's good to reflect and be aware if you or have or have not contributed to the relationship, and not if, what you have contributed. Um, so kind of evaluating because I don't think that it's bad to look back. I think when we get stuck in the past or like aren't able to move forward afterwards, right? Like if we just kind of ruminate or think a lot about the ways that we contributed or the ways that the other person contributed without having a more balanced view, we can kind of get stuck. So,
Mhm.
definitely good to reflect. And then I also said it makes sense to wonder if the other person still thinks about you. It's like asking if it meant as much to them as it did to you. And we see this theme in Taylor's music, right? Like, did the love affair maim you too? From All Too
Mhm.
Well. It's it's kind of asking like, was I thinking that this was more than what it really was, or were you also as engaged with this?
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
so those were my main validation points.
that's a very good observation of Taylor's music. That's a constant theme, I think, all too well. Also, I'll bet you think about me.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Or Better Man.
Oh,
Like,
I
there,
love red.
yeah, there's some good
It's
ones
so
on
good.
there. Really, really good. I'm excited for us to get to that album.
Hmm.
But yes, I like love those validations. Um, it's very, very true. Any challenges that you would offer this client?
Yeah, I think nothing too different from what I've said. Consider what went well and approach it with a balanced view of all parties' contribution. So, not just focusing on yours or the other person's contribution, but having, an understanding of the ways that you both played a part.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. And I think like you're right, like both parts. And sometimes it's easy to get fixated on like what I did wrong or what the other person did wrong, and rather to like take what's yours and no more and let the person take what's theirs and no more. Like
Hmm.
we're to take accountability, but we don't need to like own everything if it's not ours to own. So
Hmm.
that can be a hard challenge, especially for people who are used to like taking on too much blame. And that can be helpful for people who don't take on enough responsibility for their actions.
Hmm.
So either way, it's a great challenge. Anything else on the challenge, or are you ready to move to recommendations?
Let's do it. Yeah. So, recommendation wise, I would say honor the time you spent together, feel your feelings, and learn from your experience. So, I feel like it's really important for us to what I mean by saying like honor the time you spent together, when somebody dies, we have a funeral, right? We honor their life, we celebrate the ways that they contributed, the ways that they impacted others.
Mhm.
And when we have breakups or when we have like huge shifts in life, even just like different like life seasons, I think it's important to say like, okay, like now that this chapter is ending or will be ending, like how can we really recognize the way that the goods and the bads, right? Like the ways that this impacted me, and like almost memorialize it in a way. I also do this with clients and myself. Like I recommend when you start a new season, if it's hard to kind of let the past be the past and like move forward, having some sort of like token to bring with you. So an example of this for me was when I graduated from grad school. I went to Italy with some friends and bought a ring in Venice. And I wore that ring every day just as a reminder of like this new chapter of like the ways that I'm feeling more independent and like adventurous. And so I love having just like a visual reminder of that. So that could be like for the future or the past, but just a fun
Mhm.
little idea too.
Yeah, yeah, brilliant, brilliant way. Right, that transition, whether it's positive or it feels negative to you, either way, whether that's like a grief ritual, right? And the ritual could be like writing a letter, visiting a place, eating a food, like the list goes on, whatever's significant to you, or just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna look at this ring and remember that I'm not a student anymore. I graduated. Like, it's lovely. Any encouragements?
Yeah. Good job reflecting and considering your part as well as the other person's, and then feeling regret is uncomfortable, but you are embracing it. And that's really cool, really important.
Hmm. Yeah. Wow. Thank you for sharing all of your lovely insights on Coney Island. I have to say, I am walking away with it from this episode with an increased appreciation for the song.
Yeah, yeah, me too. Me too. Um, I love that you said an increased appreciation. If this was our session, then that was the note.
Sorry, therapy talk just like it just comes out. I don't even try for it. It's just like out of my mouth and there it comes.
I
It's
totally
very
understand.
clinical. Very clinical. You're right, you're right.
That's awesome.
Um, to our listeners, thanks for tagging along on this episode. We had a lot of fun preparing it for you. If you would like to learn more about our podcast episode or any of our other episodes, check us out, Therate Podcast on Instagram. We're also on YouTube and, of course, Spotify, wherever you find your Apple wherever you find your podcast, we're there. If you have a song request, email us at thirtypodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to feature a song that you want to hear. Jeremy, thank you for being our ever consistent, wonderful editor, and we'll look forward to seeing you all next episode.